Evolutionary Podcast coming your way. What's up, guys? Stevesmi here. Rick, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys?
Q&A, guys. These are all the questions you guys submitted. We got 5 awesome ones. Let's stop bullshitting. Let's get right to it. The first one is he wants to know why he gets facial bloat on steroids and how to fix it. So this is the beauty part of listening to this podcast, guys. Unlike other, on social media or other podcasts, they just talk about why they get facial bloat. They don't actually get into how to fix it. Or they'll talk about just how to fix it, but they won't talk about why you get facial bloat. So one of the main reasons why people get facial bloat on steroids is because many steroids that are out there aromatize into estrogen, or they stimulate estrogen receptors or something like that. And that causes the facial bloat to just blow up. So one of the best ways that we combat estrogen is by using an aromatase inhibitor such as Aromacin or Arimidex on cycle. Now, if you're using something like Anadrol, which doesn't convert to estrogen, but it will still bloat you because it does, stimulate those estrogen receptors. It hits those estrogen receptors. And in that case, some little bit of Nolvadex should work for you. At the end of the day, some people are going to be more prone to bloat. Some people aren't. If you're overweight and you use steroids, you have a high fat percentage, there's a good chance that you're going to bloat more than someone who was lean. But that's not necessarily always true. I've seen very, very lean guys bloat quite a bit on steroids. So that water retention kind of gets into the face, very, very obvious. We call that moon face. A lot of people call it the D-bowl phase. A lot of people call it the, stuff like that, because dianabol aromatizes so rapidly and so heavily into estrogen that's why a D-bowl is a classic one for getting facial bloat. Now, a big problem too is guys overdose on these aromatizing compounds, or they'll stack multiple aromatizing compounds. I'm not a fan of stacking more than 1 or 2 in your cycle of these aromatizing compounds, because you're just multiplying the issue. So I'm gonna bring in Rick though and give his opinion and how he feels he can do it, including some natural ideas.
Yeah, well, those high estrogen levels are going to make your face kind of round and puffy. And as we get older too, our facial structure is going to change. Go look at any man's picture from when they were in their 20s and then, going into 40s, and your face is just naturally going to start rounding, just the way your fat accumulates and differences in hormone levels. Because, we do take anti-estrogens and control our estrogen during cycle, but when we're off, most of us are not out there taking anti-E's year round. So you, over time, just accumulate that kind of rounder, older estrogen look. Look, best thing is control your estrogen. If you could get on a year-round protocol, some guys maybe should after a certain age. And I like to put in your hand flame on my cheeks, and it makes a huge difference. There's been a couple of times where I haven't been able to produce the product because of just the complications with making liquids. But whenever we've had it back in stock, and I just put it right at the chin. I make sure not to get it in my eyes, or it's going to be really painful. Probably I shouldn't even tell anybody to do that, huh? But I use your hand flame on my just below just on my chin and my cheekbones, and just make sure not to get it on my eyes. Just wipe it out after a few minutes, because if it gets in your eyes, it's going to be painful. It's never happened to me, but I wouldn't advise anybody out there to do it. And that's about it. I mean, just another thing that also helps with bloat, if you, for whatever reason, want to feel like you're getting puffy in the face, is Preparation H that you can pick up at any store. It doesn't do anything for long-term fat reduction or long-term fat burning, but it does help to dehydrate the face in that area.
Guys, a lot of guys on forums, they'll talk about they had a friend tell them to take diuretics. Guys, these diuretics are not a good idea. they're not going to solve the issue, and they're going to make the problem worse in a lot of cases. So don't listen to these people telling you to take diuretics. You do not want to mess with diuretics for bloat at all. All right, guys. Next question is this guy's saying he's only motivated when on steroids. He feels he's like gone down a rabbit hole. So let me briefly talk about this. I think a lot of people who have started using steroids when they haven't truly been ready, they get into this rabbit hole because they never put in the work, they never put in the hours naturally. So, you can approach it two different ways. You can just start training and then hop on the juice really, really young. And if you do that, it's like giving, someone their first car being a Lamborghini. It's hard to go from a Lamborghini to a Ford. So, to me, you got to look at the situation that got yourself into this. Did you start using steroids too soon? Did you start using steroids too young? Did you really put in the hours? I think if you look at that, you'll kind of figure out that, I don't really like lifting weights naturally. I don't like lifting weights, but I like lifting weights on steroids. There's two different things. Because when you're on steroids and you lift weights, you get results a lot quicker. You get stronger, a lot stronger. Your muscles get harder. You get more vascularity, all that good stuff. So you kind of spoil yourself. It's like giving your son a really nice car, like a Lamborghini, like I said. He's not going to want to go back to driving a Ford because he's only known a Lamborghini the whole time. So I think that's probably what's going on. And I'm not really sure how you can fix that besides really, really just being disciplined and saying, you know what, I'm just going to lift naturally and kind of build a base and then use steroids later on as icing on the cake. What do you think about this one, Rick?
You have to be disciplined for when motivation is not kind of there. You won't always feel like going in and doing all of the work, but you just have to have discipline, have already mapped out what your goal for the week is, what kind of workout you want to get in, what kind of sets, what kind of weights you want to put up, and just stick to it. And if you worry about the performance of the exercise, just having good form, doing your whole workout, if you just worry about those things and having that discipline, then you'll be fine, because sometimes you could be on steroids and still not be motivated because life just happens. Things just happen. So regardless of quote unquote motivation, you just need to stick to the plan. You need to stick to the program. You need to have your training laid out, your eating, everything, and you just stick to it. So whenever motivation is lacking, discipline is always there. And discipline is real easy because all you need to do to have discipline is just fucking do it. Get off your ass and do it. Look at your journal, look at what you need to accomplish and go do it. So that's the only thing I could say. I mean, worry more about the actual working out and performing of the exercises than you do maybe about aesthetics. Maybe you're not as motivated because when you're on steroids, you look big and puffy and veiny all the time. And then when you're not on steroids, you don't look as good. So maybe you don't feel as good about it. I don't know, but just worry about being able to put the weight up, worry about finishing your exercise, feeling good, feeling all of your joints healthy, and just have that discipline when motivation's not there. When you're not on the steroids and don't feel like ripping everybody's head off, just go in there and get your work done.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. We'll definitely have to get back to this one in a later podcast. Next one, guys, is this guy's saying he lost 15 pounds on a calorie deficit diet, but now his weight loss has stopped entirely. So this one, this is a mess, guys. What we see is an epidemic today with guys trying to copy what the pros are doing or what competitors do. And competitors, yes, they do they do adjust their macros, they adjust their calories, they have the off season, they have the in season, they're competing for a show. They'll drop their calories, they'll drop this, they'll drop that, they'll drop their carbs. And then after the show, they'll get their calories back up. And during the off season, they'll put on 20, 30 pounds, blah, blah, blah. Guys, stop worrying about what they do. You are not them. These calorie deficit diets, okay, are not something an average Joe needs to be messing with. What happens is when you eat in a calorie deficit, your metabolic rate drops. So your metabolism slows down. So initially, yes, you will lose weight if you were skinny before, fell off the wagon, okay, started eating shitty, started eating too much, and then you went back to eating better. You will lose, like this guy did, about, whatever, 10, 15, 20 pounds, whatever. But eventually you're going to reach that homeostasis where your weight's not going to come off anymore. So you were, say, 17% body fat before, you ballooned up to 25% body fat, and then now you're back down to like 19% body fat. And you can't drop anymore, even though you're eating in a deficit. Well, it's because you crashed your metabolism when you did that. So the good thing here is that when you fast, you do a water fast, your metabolic rate actually does not drop. So you get the benefits of that fat loss without disturbing your metabolism. And this, guys, there's scientific evidence to back this up. You can get some of Jason Fung's books. He's got actual human studies on this. It's well documented that this is the case. So that's why water fasting is the answer. If you want to break through a plateau like that, water fasting is the answer, because you're not going to disturb your metabolism, and obviously your body's going to go more into fat burning mode. I don't like to hear when guys say, oh yeah, I'm going to count my calories, I'm going to eat in a calorie deficit. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work, especially in the long term. It may work initially, but it does not work in the long term, because a calorie is not a calorie. A calorie is just a number. It's a unit. So you can't just count your calories every day and be like, yeah, I'm going to eat this many calories and I'm going to lose this much weight. If that was the case, a 200-pound person who eats in a deficit and is supposed to lose a pound a week, after 200 weeks, he would go from 200 pounds to 0 pounds. But it doesn't work like that. What's actually going to happen is if he eats in a deficit, his metabolic rate's going to drop. So eventually he's going to lose weight, and then he's going to stall. And then what's going to end up happening is he's probably going to gain most of that back. And that happens with Weight Watcher diets and all these calorie deficit diets where you're counting calories, counting points, whatever. The people, they might lose some weight initially. Weight Watchers gets paid because they get paid for how much weight you lose. And then those people just gain everything back. So it's just a roller coaster ride, just like someone who competes, how they fluctuate their weight up and down. So if you really want to lose weight, a calorie deficit diet, that's the Cliff's Notes, in my opinion, will not work for you in the intermediate and long term. That's a mouthful. Rick, what do you think about this topic?
Yeah, those higher percentage points in body fat, those are the easiest ones to lose. So if you're in the teens or low 20s or in the high teens, middle teens, those are the easiest ones to lose. Once you start scratching the single digits, it's just a dance of staying lean and your muscles not flattening out, staying lean and not losing on your mass. And that's when really the need for anabolics and steroids, SARMs, peptides, supplements, that's when all that need is that's when you really are trying to work that balance. So yeah, the lower you get, the harder it is going to be to lose that weight and make it just fat loss and not start to lose muscle. So it's very common, very normal. Your body tries to adjust. So if you're caloric deficit and you're coming down, your body's going to adjust. If you're prepping for a competition, weight class stuff, who knows, right? Then you just need some steroids and continue to work out while you are on a caloric deficit. If you're trying to just look good, then you need to just address everything from maybe water retention to diet to, some people that maybe have a little bit of trouble getting their midsection to come in. How about doing heavy fiber, like 40, 50 grams of fiber a day for a couple of months? And see what that does to your midsection. And yeah, I mean, just once you start to get into the teens, you have to get a lot more scientific about your approach, about what you put in your body, and about how you diet down. I mean, getting from the low 20s to the teens and body fat down, that's easy. Once you get 8%, then things begin to get really interesting, and your body is trying to adjust. And if you cut calories down and you don't do it the right way, your body will just survive and work with less calories, and it'll just keep doing that. So you have to get real creative once you get that low. Would you agree?
You know what? I just want to be clear too, guys. Some of these vegans out there and some of these people who live to like 100 years old, they actually have a very low caloric intake every day, but their bodies have adjusted. They adjusted to that. So they have very, very efficient bodies. They can eat a lot less food than a lot of other, like Americans, for example, who have incredibly sick bodies, incredibly bad gut health and stuff. So I just don't want people to confuse what we're saying. I'll give you an example. Like, I know one guy, he eats pretty much like half a papaya for lunch, and he eats like berries for dinner and some nuts. That's his diet pretty much every day. He eats fruit and some nuts for lunch, and then fruits and nuts for dinner. And he's extremely healthy. This guy's like in his 80s. Like, you wouldn't even think it. He looks like he's in his 40s. I mean, he's like, he does yoga every day. He runs every day, and he has extremely efficient body. He has gut health. So you can survive on that. Like, human body is an amazing thing. You have a very efficient body. But if you're a bodybuilder and you're a big meathead and you eat 10 meals a day, you're going to train your body to be very, very inefficient. Rich Piana, who rest in peace, R.I.P. Rich Piana. He had a very sick body because he was eating so much food from the time he woke up to the time he went to sleep, nonstop, 8, 9, 10 meals a day. He had a very inefficient body, and he actually, I bet you, he was very mineral deficient and vitamin deficient in his body because of that. So the body will adjust. Like Rick said, we evolved, we survived for 2 million years through famine and wars, sicknesses, plagues, famines, droughts, climate change, fires. They used to come and wipe out, burn entire villages down, burn everyone's crops, burn their houses down. People had no food for days, for weeks, for months, and they still managed to survive. That's why our bodies adjust. So you can adjust. You can make that decision if you want an efficient body or an inefficient body. And you can make that decision too if you want to just like do these silly 500 calorie a day diets that don't work. And then I see people doing these 500 calorie a day diets. They eat 2 slices of pizza. That's their diet for the day. It's just not going to work, guys. So you need to get on a good, proper diet and do all this stuff. You can get in touch with me for a one-on-one consultation, by the way, and I can help you turn your inefficient body into an efficient body. So always hit me up on the forum, Stevesmi. I'll be happy to work with you on that. Next one is going to be an interesting one. Test gel versus injectables for long-term cruise or TRT. So I'm going to bring in Rick on this one first. Rick, have you tried the gels before? And what is your opinion on them? What's the pros and cons?
I like the gels. They're easy to apply. They're no injections. And you can get other interesting compounds on the gels too. So I actually enjoy the gels quite a bit. I think, look, I don't, if you're on TRT already and you can get that script from the doc for good human grade testosterone, just get it. The gels are easy to come by. You can even find some good over the counter stuff that works. And to Testoderm that we'll have available for sale in the next couple of weeks is a good one. And if you can even stack that up with what your doctor is going to give you. So anytime that you can get legal human grade testosterone, get it. don't just go through the procedure, go through the doctor, get the script, and it's just the best way to go. So for talking about long term, I would do both. I'd get my shot from the doctor, and then I'd put on some testoderm or some other form that I could that I liked, and I would stack them both together, man. Look, if you're already in that route, just do that. I haven't put myself on TRT yet. I haven't given up the fight, so I'll come off I'm off probably 9 months out of the year nowadays, 8 months out of the year. I'm off, just taking test boosters, insulin modulators, just keeping up with my supplement grind, fasting, and just staying training. So, but when I do make the jump, when I do decide that it's time to just be on TRT, definitely gonna work with both. Use both the testosterone shots and the gel. Probably be on the shots year round, and then use the gel almost as little cycles in there to help me make some progress.
Yeah, so I looked up some statistics on it. It's really hard to find the statistics of how many people are doing the gels versus how many people do injectables. But there's definitely a trend more now away from the gels. I can remember like 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people were doing the androgel to test them. And the way those work is you would apply them every day. Usually people will do it in the morning after their shower. And then you have to let it absorb. And you have to be careful that it didn't get on anyone. And it was kind of a hassle, having to do that versus just injecting once a week, boom, you're done. Half a cc of SIP or E once a week will get the job done. So it really boils down. A lot of people don't want to keep, needles in the house. A lot of people don't want needles around their kids. They don't want their wife to freak out about it, whatever. So they'll get the script for the gel. Other people will do the injectables. If done correctly, there's nothing wrong with the gels. They do the job just fine. So it's just a matter of personal preference. My personal preference is definitely I'd rather just like inject myself once a week than having to apply something on me every day. I just feel like, I'll forget to do it, or I'll, I won't be home in the morning. Sometimes I get up. I like to go run errands in the morning. I like to go to the gym. Sometimes I just forget. So it just depends on your lifestyle. But it's definitely like there's pros and cons to both. It just depends on your lifestyle.
I like doing the gels because I like having little routines, and it just becomes part of my shower routine. So, I'll after my shower do shower twice a day, right? Because we train. So I just get out of the shower, put on your hand flame around my midsection, put on the letrozone around my chest, and to transfer on my shoulders. And that's, I don't know, it's just part of my thing. I like to listen to relaxing music and just have these little moments with myself where I'm out of the shower, where I, just kind of groom a little bit and put on my creams. And that's also a time that I take some of my supplements too. I keep part of my pill organizers out in my bathroom, and I have some of the supplements I take at those times too. So I like the gels. They're very effective. Topicals are extremely effective, and if you have the right compounds, the right hormones, I mean, it's just a really nice way to deliver those hormones, those ingredients, without the shots, and it's real consistent. I mean, I really enjoy them.
All right, guys. So we like to end the show usually with a relationship question. So this is a good one. He wants to know why he's not having success getting second dates. So obviously there's something going on, either, during the date or after the date, where he's not securing that second date. And, I'd say, guys, Rick and I are going to have probably differing opinions on this, because Rick is more old school. I try to be as much old school as I can too, but I know that, in years prior, before, the internet age really blew up, where people are meeting themselves on websites and stuff, social media and all that, and apps, you would be basically, you'd ask a girl out, you'd be like, hey, you want to do something Friday night or you want to do something Saturday night? You'd ask her out like on Monday or Tuesday. And then she'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Pick me up. And then that day you'd go pick her up. You wouldn't even like talk to her the rest of the week. You would just go pick her up. You'd go out, you'd have a good time, whatever. And then afterwards, you wouldn't even like call her or anything for like a week, maybe even 2 weeks. And then you'd call her up one day again on a Monday or Tuesday, be like, hey, you want to hang out Friday night? She'd be like, okay. And you take her out again and the process continues. You can like groom her over the course of weeks or months. Nowadays, and I've done it, online dating, now it's changed. Now you talk to someone online and it's like, boom, let's get together for, for a drink tonight or for lunch today. It's fast. It's very fast paced because if you don't act on it fast, that girl's getting messaged by 50 other guys by tomorrow. So you can't be like, hey, let's go out Friday night. Let's go out Saturday night. Because by then she's going to be talking to 200 different guys. She's going to forget about you. So things have changed a lot. So one of the prime problems why you're not getting a second date is because you're out on that first date. You got to nail that first date. And then by the end of that first date, you got to let her know, hey, I'm interested in you and I want to see you again. You can't be like, all right, yeah, I'll talk to you later. And then not talk to her for like 3-4 days. She's going to forget about you. She's got 100 other guys messaging her. So what's worked for me very much and what's not worked for me is that I basically tell the girl on the date, I'm like, look, I think you're awesome. I want to see you again. Let's do something Wednesday. Don't be like, let's do something 2 weeks from now. It's got to be sometime in the next few days. So you keep her interest. And then when you get home, you fucking text her. Be like, hey, I had a great time. Look forward to seeing you. And then the next day you text her again. You don't chase after her too much, but you've got to at least engage her and keep in communication with her until that next date. And it sucks. I hate that. I hate doing that shit. But you have to kind of claim her right away because, like I said, she's getting bombarded by all these other fucking losers online nonstop. And I've dated women online. They show me their account. They're like getting bombarded. One girl, she showed me her account. She had like 50 messages just in one day. And 3 messages were from one guy. The same fucking guy was messaging her 3 times in the same day. Basically copy pasting the same message because he's just going and just messaging every other girl on there. So that's what these desperate ass guys do. So you're competing against that. So my opinion on this is definitely claim that girl when you go out. Don't be like where it was 20 or 30 years ago where you could just take your time and groom a girl and build that romance over the course of 3 months, where she's sitting by the phone waiting for some guy to call her for a date. Things have changed. She's getting 50, 100 messages an hour now from guys. So you better speed up your game. And that would make a big difference if you get a second date or not. Rick, what's your opinion?
Completely disagree.
How did I know that was coming?
So let me ask you a question, Steve. When you go out with a girl on a first date, what's your game plan? What's your rap? What do you tell her? How do you kick it to her? What do you do? Like what's the, when you were a single man, what was the go-to Steve stuff?
Dude, I would just be like, look, I'm just trying to get to know her, man. Like get to know, I'm trying to identify like those 2 or 3 things we have in common. And I'm trying to nail getting to see her again. Whatever we identify that we both like to do, I'm nailing that second date. By the end of the day, it's like, okay, yeah, you like going to a hockey game? That's going to be our second date. We're going to go to a hockey game. You like to go bowling? That's going to be our second date. We're going to go bowling. You like to go to the park and have a picnic? That's going to be our second date, or beach, whatever. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get to know, what we like to do together. My game plan on that first date is to nail that second date. It's not to groom her and take my time so some other guy can come along and steal her.
Why isn't she trying to do that with you? Why do you have to work so hard?
No, it's not working hard. It's just like letting her know, yeah, that I'm not fucking around, that I'm interested. I'm not gonna go on a date and just act like I'm not interested in you. I'm just here, just for the hell of it. I'm letting her know. I'm letting her know if I'm into her on the date and I plan to see her again. I'm gonna make sure she understands that by the end of the day. But if I'm not interested in seeing her again, I'm just not gonna act like I'm interested. I'm not gonna even book a second date. I'm just gonna like be like, it was nice meeting you. That's it. Maybe I'll drop her a text, make sure she got home okay. But I'm not gonna like pursue it any further if I'm not interested. But if I'm interested, I'm not gonna just like ignore her for 4 days, like some of these guys say, so that some other guy can come around and get her. She's gonna be like, why, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Dude, I'm telling you, things have changed. You can't do that shit anymore. You can't like wait 3-4 days to text a girl. That's not gonna fly with women these days.
Well, it depends why you don't text her for 3 days. That depends a lot. Because if you don't text her for 3 days because you're legitimately worried about your shit, about your mission in life, about doing all your things, you might just naturally forget to talk to someone or everyone. But if you're sitting there playing games, you don't text her for 3 days and you're watching fucking House of Cards and Netflix or whatever it is people do, right? Then yeah, you're a fool. It
You tell me
depends.
you can't, you're so busy you can't fucking like pick up your phone and text. It takes like 2 seconds. That women know this. Women are like, why is this fucking guy like messaging me? Like what? He's like he can't fucking pick up his phone, message me. They're gonna wonder what the fuck's wrong with you.
You could be on the phone all day, but if you have a mission in life and you have things to get to and resolve, you might just forget for a day or two to say anything. Look, here's what I think. And look, first of all, when you go out on a first date, you want to get a second date, right? Going back to the question. When you go on a first date, don't ever feel like you have to lay any cards on the table, lay anything down. Just don't, no, just cut it out. Just ask her about herself and genuinely be interested and genuinely remember, women hate nothing more than for them to tell you something, then you go and forget. You get into this deep conversation about whatever. I'm afraid of clowns, or my mom's allergic to peanuts, or whatever, and then you go and you fuck it up and you forget all about it, and somehow they hate that. So that's not genuine interest. You're going to just ask her about her and keep the conversation on her. And anything about you, just don't be dodgy or anything. Just, you don't have to reveal much about yourself. It's okay to keep yourself a mystery. Like, it's fine. You're not lying about yourself. You want her to earn unraveling you and earn getting to know you. Don't lay anything ever on the table. If you want to get that second date, you want to learn as much as you can about her. Keep her talking and just ask her everything and remember it. And then just try not to unravel yourself. If you find yourself talking about yourself for too long, just cut it out and just get back to her or something else. And then we at this point, everybody should be on social because it's become part of everybody's business and everybody's life. Whatever it is you do for work, chances are you need to be on social to deal with customers or drum up business or whatever it is you're doing. I think most of us kind of, if you are, we got this podcast, we're trying to, get a message out to people and build a community of like-minded people. So we're all out there, reachable. So when you get back, you talk to her on social, a little like here and there. Hey, what's up? You already went out on a date with her, so you're not just some creeping on her on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And just set up the date, like Steve said. You're absolutely right. Something, a common interest, and just keep her talking. Don't lay any cards on the table about nothing. If you have a crazy ex, don't talk about it. If just whatever your situation is, just cut it out. Let her talk about herself. And women just love talking about themselves. They really do, about their feelings, about how they feel about things. And just don't be combative about anything, and just get to know them, and genuinely, if you really like her and you want to make a relationship out of it, and you want to see this girl and she might be marriage material down the line, just ask her everything that you possibly can about herself. When you interact with her, make sure you build the connection around those things. Steve's absolutely right. And just and as far as getting back to her and all these things, like I said, man, if you're about your mission in life, if you have things going on, if you're doing things, if you have a job and a side hustle, and you're starting a business and you do volunteer work, or you have, children you take care of, or whatever it is. I mean, it shows when you're doing big, important things, and you can say hi to somebody or send somebody a meme. And that's enough for the day. Like, you can do that with a girl. You don't have to say hi. Just say, oh, thought about you. Look at this meme I ran across. And just hit it and something like that. And as far as, I mean, look, the main thing, and I always get back to this, you want to get a second date, like you have to be focused on your goals, on bettering yourself, your situation, everything around you, with it, just the way you look physically, the way your bank account looks, the way your relationships with other people around you work. And you should just be about that mission every single day. And as long as you're being, the best person you can be for yourself, somebody wonderful will come along. But that's got to come first. And yeah, you can forget to talk to someone for 3 days. Absolutely. Especially now, again, before tax season. Of course, you can absolutely forget someone to talk to a girl for 3 days, especially if you just met her. It can and does happen. And if you're that guy, then she should want to earn a little of that place in your life. That's another thing as men you can never do. Don't, even if you like her a lot, even if you think she's marriage material, don't let her know she's got you. Like, trying to tell her that, oh, I'm not playing games, I'm serious with you. And she hasn't kind of earned it. She's done nothing really to earn that. You're just kind of ready. You can't do that. Even if that's your intention, it'll turn her off, and she won't even be able to explain to you why it turns her off. But you took the whole mystery out of it. She didn't have to earn you. She didn't. You just completely ruined it for her. What could have been a great relationship, a good connection, everything. You just ruined it by putting yourself on a silver platter that way.
I think though, 20 years ago, like, you ever watch Love Connection from the 80s? You ever watch that show, Love Connection, Rick?
I don't really watch television. I never watched.
No, it's an old show when we were kids. It was Love Connection. People go out on dates.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember. Oh, now I remember.
Yeah,
yes. They will go on dates.
If you were back in those days, your strategy would work beautifully. Like, but I'm telling you, the problem is now, like, if you don't get back to a girl after a date for 3 days, she's going to think this guy isn't interested. You know what she's going to do after the first day? She's going to just move on, bro. She's going to forget about you. You text her after 3 days, she won't even respond. Been there, done that, man.
Listen, man.
Especially with online dating. If you're online dating, bro, she's getting bombarded with people.
Listen, I don't mean don't contact someone for 3 days. Like I said, if you're on social, you can send somebody a meme. You can, if they put up a story under Instagram, you can send them a thumbs up, a kiss. I mean, that's enough. She can engage further at that point and get talkative with you. But, look, who doesn't have an Instagram account? And you probably have this person you just met on Instagram. If they throw up a story, just a little thumbs up. You don't have to make it a stop and chat every time. Let her initiate that. And again, you don't let her initiate that because you're sitting there playing games. Let her initiate that because you're busy getting going on what you need to get going on your mission in life. And, if she wants to get talkative, or she wants to talk about the next time you're going to meet, let it be that you have to kind of pause something you're doing, whether you're reading up on a book or something you need to be reading up on, or messing with whatever, with what you need to do for your business, for your job. It's got to be real. If you sit there and play games and you're this person and you're like, sitting there, binging on Netflix series, and you're not real. It's it's okay. It's okay, and you don't have to talk to her all the time. And if there's also a little bit of that meant to be component, if you go out on a nice date with her, have a good time, ask her about herself, you genuinely care and you remember everything she's told you about herself, and you make plans and make comments and structure maybe your interaction with her around those things, and the rest should start to happen kind of naturally. If she's just too hot and just too distracted with too many guys on social, then it maybe wasn't meant to be. Maybe we might just need to let this one go, Steve. We might just need to let her go on down the line, because not everybody's like that. Not every beautiful girl that gets 100 messages from guys really cares that she gets that. Most, they shouldn't, and no one should.
But Rick, that's like okay. If you're a realtor and you got a home for sale, and every time someone
so you're saying the pussy's for sale? What are you trying to say? No.
My point is, if you're a realtor,
but it's different because that's a business. Then if you got that many people, if you're a realtor, you have that many people talking to you, then you're the perfect guy who might not be able to get back to a chick for 3 days. Look.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm saying, no, my point is, if you're a realtor, you got a house for sale, you wait 3 days to get back to people who are interested in that house, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be, by the time you get back to them, they're going to be already putting an offer on a different house. You're never going to sell a house that way.
If you made a good impression and you're somebody that's worth it, then she shouldn't get distracted by just anyone.
That's hard, man. That's hard because, like I said, like 20 years ago, you're the only guy she talked to for the entire month. But now she's talking to so many guys, especially if she has social media.
So just be the best one she's met out of the lot.
Yeah, but okay. Dude, we're like average men, though. We're not like Ben Affleck or Brad Pitt. That's my thing.
Speak for yourself. It doesn't. It's not all physical. It's not all physical. Listen, women love men. Women also like good looking men, but you know what? It's not everything. To women, it's not everything. To us men, looks are most of it. It's to some men. But to women, it's different. It's not all they value. And
you can make yourself more attractive. Or
like today with one of the questions. Oh, I don't feel like working out when I'm not on juice. Well, whenever motivation is a lack, and discipline is in there. So just be disciplined. Start off with that. If you're having problems getting like a good mate, start with yourself. If you can't find somebody that's worth it, ask yourself, am I worth it? Am I worth a damn? And then if you start off with that question, everything else will fall into place. You just can't get desperate, can't get lonely. You can't expect for it to happen today. And you might spend a couple of years working yourself out of bad situations you put yourself in before you can even be worth it, before you can even wait to get started meeting someone that's worth it. But life goes on. And in 5 years, you can either continue down the road you're in right now, or you could have become the person that's worth it and already have maybe your pick of a bunch of women that you don't even know exist today. And today maybe wouldn't even pay attention to you because you're not that guy. You know what I mean? And that's just, all you can do is just work on yourself. And you can't control women who want a guy that's, 6'2" and blue eyes. You can't control that because we don't look like that. But what if she wants somebody who's just not fucking stupid? You know what I mean? What if she wants somebody who's just realistic and actually does care, and somebody who doesn't make excuses, and somebody, what about that? That's worth something too.
I kind of, one of the things too that I noticed too, because I have friends that do online dating and stuff. Like one of the big problems too, guys and women both do this, is they overrate themselves on these dating sites. Like example, men tend to lie about their height. They lie about how much money they have. They lie about this stuff. So you go on a date, you're lying about your height. She's going to see how tall you are. If you lie about how much money you make, she's going to see what car you drive. She's going to know you're full of shit. You say you make $250,000 a year and you're driving a fucking Ford Focus, she's gonna know that you're probably full of shit. And then on women, what do women lie about? They lie about their age. They put pictures from when they were in, college, and they're like 35. So if you're a woman and you're doing that and you go on a date, and I've been through this, and I'll go on a date with this girl and she doesn't even look like her pictures. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like literally you put up fake
got
pictures.
catfish.
Like she puts up pictures from like 10 years ago.
You know that's cat.
And it's like, what's the point? So yeah, you're not going to get a second date if you do that on a first, if that's your first date
I don't use Tinder, online dating, any of that stuff. I don't do any of that. I think some people have success with that, but I don't do that.
I mean, that's a big one. So I think.
Have you done Tinder? Well, no, because you.
I've not done the apps before. No, I've done some.
The apps?
I've done a couple dating websites, but never done the apps. I don't like the dating websites either. I don't like the dating websites.
The number one thing to get started, to have success on any date before you even get started going on the date, is you have to just be happy, fine, and dandy being single and being alone. And once you're okay with that and you're not desperate to get into a relationship or looking to get into, once you're good with that, then everything else will fall back into place. And then you won't be you won't be awkward. You won't be worried about your height or your weight or whatever it is else that you're worried about, because you're right being single, and I mean, you're goody, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And that's it. I think a lot of the issues that dudes run into with dating and stuff is you kind of feel like you need to get into something, and that's the wrong way to get started about it. Just want to meet good people, and go out there and just hang out with girls and listen to them and just have fun, and then see how things fall into play. And sometimes if you're open to it, you'll find somebody wonderful. And sometimes you don't find wonderful people, but you just can't be desperate. That's all. My opinion, you just can't. Like if you're sitting there worried about a second date at too early on, I mean, how about this person earns your time, and how about, you let them earn it a little bit too.
Yeah. Don't worry about your second date for sure. Like, don't be like, oh, I need to get a second date with this person. It's more of a you're validating that she's into you by worrying about that. You're on that date with her as it is. So take advantage of that time you have with her. And then at the end of the date, then you can worry about the second date. And like, let's face it too, a lot of times if you ask a girl at the end of a first date, be like, hey, you want to hang out again? It's just, she'll say yes, but she really doesn't want to tell you no, because maybe she's, too much of a coward to tell that to your face. So
maybe I'm old school, but it's worked for me. I'm like I said, I'm an older guy and I'm 40. I'm not good looking. Old, but I've had.
That's not true, by the way. Rick is good looking. Rick's full of shit. I'm looking at him right now.
I've had romance, just beautiful romance with probably more beautiful women than most of you guys out there will ever dream about. And I've got kids with two also beautiful women, and it's never not being I don't know. It just doesn't. You just got to be worth it. You have to be worth it before you even ask yourself if this person, that person, everybody else is worth it. You have to ask yourself, are you worth it? And if you can be happy with being alone and get up every day to work on yourself, man, you won't be able to keep them off you. If you don't call or you don't engage them in conversation all day because you're doing shit, because you're getting fucking things accomplished, and it shows. It'll show even if you're investing time in now and you're not reaping the rewards yet. It'll just show in your demeanor when you do get around them. It'll just show in the way you deal with people around you, from the waiter to the upper guy, to the guy on the upper. It'll just show to even when you guys go out and you have a mission in life, you're not going to overdrink. You're not going to want to stay up too late unless you guys are going to have have some intimacy. I mean, you won't just be this desperate guy that's just willing to hang out and overdrink, and you have things to do. It'll just show. Again, you don't have to have all the rewards right now. You can just be investing into something new that you're doing, and maybe be financially broke at the moment. Doesn't matter, but you're working it, you're doing it, you're out there getting it done, and the time where your time is invested, it just shows because of the kind of person it builds you into. And that's the way to get as many second dates as you want, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, women can sniff a guy who's insecure and not confident. They can sniff a guy like that from a mile away. So a lot of times, like, look, if it's not working the first date, I mean, I would be curious to know, whoever wrote this in, to get back to us.
You can't display feminine traits. All of that. If you're a man, you can't be insecure. You can't act that way. It'll set alarms off, and she'll stop feeling you. She'll stop liking you, and she won't even be able to explain to you why. You can't. You have to leave a lot of those feminine traits to the female you're trying to court. So you can't, if you're having problems, if you're having issues, you can't sit there and go complain about them like you want to be listened to. And especially unless she's your wife, man, she's not your shoulder to cry on. And even then, I wouldn't say don't cry on your wife's shoulder. All right. But yeah, if you're just meeting this person, you're not going to tell them about everything that's wrong, how bad it makes you feel. That's not the person to talk to about it at all, my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it really boils down to, like I said, I like to know exactly, what happened on a date. If you're not identifying like what's going on, then I think that's step one. Whoever wrote this in, I would like to know, like, you have to identify what went wrong, and just to see like what the hell happened. I've actually reached out to women when I haven't gotten second dates. I've asked them, hey, why didn't we have a second date? And they've actually, Rick's like, no, just to see what they would say. I've reached out to girls that I used to date in the past, relationships with. I'm like, look, can you tell me what I did wrong? Like some of my how are you going to get better if you don't find this out?
You know what? It's the worst person to ask, but go ahead. So what answers have you received?
No, I had one girl say that I had a temper. So I was like, fuck, you know what? I was like, fuck, that's fucking true. I was like, fuck, I got to work on that. And I've worked on that. That was like 5 years ago. I worked on that shit. I don't have a temper anymore.
It's not that, because
I blame the trend.
Women like when you get mad at other men, women, it turns them on. That's why women love fighters. That's why women love rock stars. I mean, it does. It just maybe your temper, maybe you lost control. You displayed maybe a little bit of not control over your emotions a little bit, and that might have set her off. But rage and bad temper at the right time, oh man, there's nothing that turns them on more than that. So she probably felt like you weren't in, or her in particular, maybe felt you weren't in full control of your emotions there, buddy. We had some club at your PCT or something. Yeah. That's what happened.
I mean,
that's what women love to.
Yeah, it's interesting, hearing that stuff. I mean, I think at the bottom line is, though, you gotta kind of, just figure out what you're doing wrong on that first date. Like, it could be, you could say, I'm telling you, like, women, they fucking listen to everything. You could say one wrong thing on a first date, one wrong thing.
That's why you don't sit.
Hold it against you. That's
why you don't. The way to play the game is not to sit there and put your cards on the table. And I only say play the game because you want this person as a girlfriend, or maybe you just want her as somebody casual. I mean, just you're upfront about it. You tell them what you'd like to see, what kind of things you'd like to see happen, but just don't lay your cards on the table about every problem that's going on in your life. Ask her about her. And I think as things progress, she'll learn more about you, but you don't have to lay everything out on the line. It's probably not the best way to get started.
All right, guys. So yeah, guys, just send this in, guys. Any first date disaster dates or whatever, and we'll talk about it on this podcast. Send in some more.
For you guys out there listening, we we do the questions about steroids first, and then we just kind of sit here and shoot the shit about dating and stuff like that, because it's just fun stuff that guys like to talk about in locker rooms and shit. I mean, every sport that I've played, we're either talking about the sport itself or we're talking about girls to some degree. It's just a fun topic. So for you guys that just care about the steroid information and diet and training, that's the first half of the podcast. You get that already. Also, when we do the compound podcast, which are the even numbers, we don't do any kind of dating stuff. But for you guys that like to listen to me and Steve shoot the shit and talk about girls and dating and some of this stuff that's more art than science, I think you guys can hang on after the Q&A and listen, because we're always going to try to have some kind of relationship question at the end of every show, so we can just shoot the shit a little bit and maybe make some of you guys laugh a little bit out there. So all right, that's it. Hey, so what's up, Steve? Hit it up.
Yeah, guys, Evolutionary Podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Keep the questions coming. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.